So there's a show on Netflix. It's called Cider Vinegar. It's called Apple Cider Vinegar. And it kind of touches on this topic of alternative remedies and alternative ways of treatment. And I'm not going to give it away, because if you're interested in alternative therapies or holistic ways of healing your body, I think you should check this movie out this show, because it was really interesting. What I will say is, in the show, there was someone who was struggling with a legitimate health issue, and they were under the impression that they could heal themselves by their own natural remedies and holistic supplements and things of that nature. And they ended up learning some things later down the line about that. And so that's what prompted me to bring this up, because again, I saw the show, but then I also have spoken to people who feel like, even though they don't go to the doctor or get blood drawn, because they're doing these alternative therapies with the CMOS, and I'm blanking on some of the other ones that are out there, but they think that that's okay. And it's like, as a registered nurse, as a wellness coach, I want to inform you that there's nothing wrong with holistic things. There's nothing wrong with wanting to try things naturally as opposed to taking medications. However, this is why preventative care is important. Preventative care, because you're preventing a problem from happening. So when you go to your doctors every year for an annual checkup, that's a part of your preventative care. You're basically making sure that at that point in time, there is nothing going on. So that way, if you want to do the holistic remedies like the CMOS, the ashwagandha, herbal teas, you can do that because you don't have an issue. But there are some people who will never go to the doctor, they'll never get their checkup, and they will take all these natural supplements and stuff, and then they go to the doctor, and God forbid they get bad news, and they think, okay, well, I'm gonna just keep doing this. And it's like, well, at this point, we shouldn't rely on these alternative therapies once we already have an acute problem. And just to give you all background information, like I mentioned, preventative means we're just doing things ahead of time. We're making sure everything is good ahead of time. Nothing is wrong right now. When we start to have an acute problem, spelled ACUTE, acute, that means that something new just happened to us, and now we got to get this together. And then when somebody deals with a chronic condition, this means that they have had this issue, this condition for a long time. At this point, it's chronic, and it's going to be kind of difficult to go back to when they didn't have or struggle with this condition. So this is why I want to emphasize why going to your doctor, getting your blood drawn. And I understand some people don't like needles, some people don't like doctors, don't like hospitals, and they feel like, all right, I'm gonna only go when I need to. But that's a problem, because there's too many people getting diagnosed with breast cancer, or men and women, breast cancer, prostate cancer, diabetes, hypertension, or high blood pressure, because they are not going to their doctors annually. And my thing is too, if you have insurance, whether it be through your employer or even through the state, or you're paying out of pocket for your insurance, use it. Use it. Especially if you work for a job where they give you health benefits. And I'm talking about all your benefits. Your doctors, your dentists, your eye doctor, use your benefits. Because the worst thing that could happen is you think everything is okay, and then your body starts telling you, okay, something is off, something is going on, something's happening. And by the time you go to the doctor, they're giving you this diagnosis, and now you just all over the place, because it's like, wow, I didn't think that this was going to happen. And it happens a lot of times. I've seen it a lot of times in my experience, and not even working as a nurse, but just being a person, having family members and friends who think, oh, well, I feel fine. And it's like, what we don't understand sometimes too is our body is going to compensate for us for a little while. If something is wrong, our body, with the way it was designed, which is amazing, is going to compensate. It's going to make up for whatever that issue is. But when it gets to a certain point in time where we're not addressing the issue and we're just continuing along with our habits, we thinking drinking a sea moss and doing the herbal teas is going to cut it, then our body is going to start showing us through our symptoms that something is wrong. And then we're going to feel bad and then go to the doctor. And before that ever happens, I just think it's so important that we literally just go to our annual checkup. Hey, just coming in, making sure everything is good, getting that needle once a year for blood work, hopefully anyway, and then seeing where we stand with things. Another thing I wanted to share, which I remember always kind of bothered me, was this was back in this was a long time ago. I remember going to a doctor's appointment with someone, and they hadn't gone to the doctor, and I was just like, I think you should go. So I did go to support, and I remember at the time the doctor didn't draw any blood. And mind you, this person didn't have blood drawn the previous year. They didn't come with their records and say, hey, can you look at this? And the doctor said, oh, I think you're good. No, this person had not been to the doctor. And when they go to the doctor to get blood drawn, or that was something I inquired about, like, hey, can I get some labs? The doctor's like, oh, well, no, I don't really order labs unless they tell me something is wrong. And it's like, at the time, the interesting thing was I was not a nurse at the time, but I was working in a hospital as a registrar. And I was like, that doesn't sound quite right, because how do you know what the baseline is? If we're not ever drawing blood and you're saying, well, we're going to draw blood when a problem happens, it's like, but that could be a long time from now. And this problem could be going on right now. Our body is just not showing it yet. So I don't know if there was some systemic racism tied into that, to be honest, because yes, we as Black people with healthcare, it could get a little tricky sometimes. Sometimes we're not listened to. We know, hopefully we know or have heard about the number of Black women that die in childbirth because they're not being listened to. They're not being believed when they say they're in pain or something's not right. So this is another reason why I need to encourage you all and want to encourage you all to advocate for yourselves. And this is also why I'm here. If you have no clue what to ask for, if you have no clue what to do, reach out. Book a half-hour call with me. Let's talk about where you stand. We can definitely work together if you wish to really get a handle on your health, and I can explain some things to you. But our health is our responsibility. Yes, we have a doctor that we go to. Yes, we have other resources in place, but no one else is going to say, hey, did you go to the doctor? Maybe if you have a friend or a partner or spouse who's that interested and concerned, they're going to kind of nudge you. Hopefully you have that person in your life that's going to say, hey, when's the last time you've been to the doctor? But a lot of times people just like, oh, I feel fine. And you're going to feel fine for a long time, because your body doesn't just break down at the first sight of trouble. No, it's going to see, all right, let me see what we could do to kind of give us some wiggle room until we really address the source of this issue. So I just, again, want to encourage you all to really take charge of your own health, and that includes your mental health as well, because physical health is important, yes, but we need to check in with ourselves mentally and emotionally. And if we're not eating well, sleeping well, moving around well, socializing well, we need to look into that, okay? And like I said, this is why I'm here. If you need to talk, if you just don't know where to start, and you just like, I want to do better, I want to lose weight, I want to gain weight, I want to, minimize this stress in my life. My pressure has been up. My blood sugar levels are up. I don't know what to do. I don't feel like anyone is there to kind of hold me accountable. This is why I'm here. So please utilize my resources, or me as a resource. And also, like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, if you have not checked out apple cider vinegar, that show on Netflix, please do. Especially if you're someone that really believes in like holistic healing and the other ways of healing the body. It's a really interesting show. Kind of sad, but interesting and very informative. So that's the word that I have for you all. Please be well, be healthy, and I'll talk to you next time.